Hello, Darklings! So today I posed a movie-related Q&A on my Facebook and Tumblr so people could ask me some movie-related questions. The questions that we're talking about, things that could be set up as movie suggestion theme lists, I will save those as movie suggestion lists for another time, so some of them will not be answered. Some of them I just didn't really find to be engaging enough to be addressed, so if you get skipped over, I'm very sorry. These are just the ones that I figured would be a little bit more prominent because movie questions are far more fun for me to answer than questions having to do with my personal life. So cool. Here we go. I have a little list prepped. So, worst director, most overrated director, and best director in my opinion. For best director, it's really hard. I've been doing director spotlights for a reason. It's really, I can't really pick one. Worst director, I'd probably say is Baz Luhrmann for me. I really hate watching his stuff. I don't like it stylistically, cinematographically. I don't like his music choices and everything. So Baz Luhrmann's my least favorite. Overrated, I'd probably say James Cameron and Michael Bay. Michael Bay could probably go die in a hole and I wouldn't be that sad about it, which is a little brutal, but For best, my personal favorite's gotta be Guillermo del Toro, probably. He was the first director spotlight I did. For other best ofs, I do have an entire playlist on my channel for movies, so if I'm missing anything, you can skim through there. Surprise genre favorites. That one is kind of a funny one. So stoner humor comedies, kind of like Wayne's World and Bill and Ted and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. 80s, 90s teen films such as John Hughes. People seem a little bit confused, but those are some of my favorite kind of things that are weird. That and horror comedies, sometimes romantic period dramas like Jane Eyre and Pride and Prejudice. I've ended up really liking those. Favorite composers, music scores, movie scores, and soundtracks. Favorite composers would probably be John Williams, Jerry Goldsmith, Klaus Badelt, Danny Elfman. I mean, some of the really big ones that you can recognize them. Favorite movie scores would probably be Dario Argento's Suspiria and Ridley Scott's Jerry Goldsmith Legend score, not the Tangerine Dream one. Bram Stoker's Dracula's score. For favorite soundtracks, I'd probably say Return of the Living Dead and The Lost Boys. Those are pretty excellent. And Queen of the Damned, even if the movie itself is a bad movie I love. This one I've been asked many, many, many times, and I've answered yes so many times I'm surprised people still aren't listening, which is, do I like Studio Ghibli films? I own about 10 of them. Yes, I really like Ghibli. It's the only Japanese animation style that I can stand, apparently. Favorites include Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke, My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, and Spirited Away. Some of the other non-Miyazaki directed Ghibli films that I ended up liking was Secret of Arrietty and The Cat Returns and Tales of Earthsea. Guilty pleasure movies. Okay, I'm pretty sure I've gone over these somewhere or somehow, and they kind of fall into the surprise genre thing, which includes Pretty in Pink and Pride and Prejudice and I don't know, some of those. I don't really know. Easy A. It just kind of depends on mood. Favorite book to film adaptation. That one's kind of tough. It kind of depends on mood. I do like the 2005 Pride and Prejudice. I do like the 2009 Dorian Gray. I do like the 1992 Bram Stoker's Dracula. I like the 1994 Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I do like Blood and Roses, based off of Carmilla. It's sort of modge-podge and kind of depends, I guess. I don't know. Favorite horror movie. I've been asked this like 90,000 fucking times, and every time I still have no answer. So I go off of my stock answer of A Nightmare on Elm Street, because it's one that I can consistently watch again and again and again and again without getting tired of it. So I guess that counts as a favorite. Least favorite horror subgenres. And when this question was asked, it did have an example. And yes, the rape revenge, I absolutely despise those. I've seen Last House on the Left and I Spit on Your Grave, and they really just make me sick to my stomach in a very unpleasant way. I hate watching them. Part of it is I'm a girl. Of course I'm going to take it personally, and it's fucking terrifying and miserable to watch. And the fact that there's remakes and sequels of those makes me even more ill. Like, I hate those movies. Um, Demonic possession films, I don't hate them so much as I find them very passe by this point. I'm tired of them. Same with home invasion. Home invasion horror films I find to be kind of blah, because on the one hand, yeah, it's generally scary to have someone break in your house. On the other hand, I don't find that terribly interesting as a horror film. Uh, are there any horror movies I'm scared of? No. And I've never really properly been scared of a film. I've had films that I sit there and mentally recognize I should be scared of this because everything about this is scary. Probably the one that sticks out the most to me, regardless of age, is A Nightmare on Elm Street. When I watched it for the first time when I was 16, all I could think is this is a genuinely scary film. I'm very proud. I'm very pleased. But I've never been genuinely scared by a film, as in had jumping or nightmares or anything after it. I've just always liked the movies. My favorite quote from The Crow. That one's a little odd, and I don't know, because I kind of get the quotes from the comic book and from the movie mixed up in my head. But I mean, the joke that I like to tell my mother, because she still finds it funny and she doesn't know where it's from, is Jesus Christ walks into an inn and hands the innkeeper 3 nails and says, "Can you put me up for the night?" I always get a kick out of that because I wasn't really raised religious, and it's still darkly funny to me. Favorite classic horror movie is probably Bride of Frankenstein. I love Dracula and I love Frankenstein, but I love Bride of Frankenstein the most. There's a lot of visuals in there that really I think are cool. Favorite new horror. I don't know how new is new supposed to be. If it's this year, last year, year before, I don't really know how new is, because I don't see new movies in the theater very often. I'd probably say that The Babadook and Crimson Peak are kind of up there. I don't know. Um, Recent horror films I haven't been super impressed with, or I just haven't seen them yet. There's a lot, from my understanding, that could be really good, like Don't Breathe, that I just haven't watched yet. Favorite silent movies. Okay, well, there's a bunch of them. I watch silent films whenever I get the chance to. My favorite is probably still The Phantom of the Opera, and the other favorite would probably be Nosferatu. Those are pretty damn good. And Metropolis. Metropolis is amazing. Interview with the Vampire. Who do I prefer, Louis or Lestat? With the film adaptation, probably Lestat, because even though I am overly not impressed by Tom Cruise in general, I did like his adaptation and his interpretation of the character. I thought it was appropriately bratty. And Brad Pitt was very displeased to be there the whole time, and it showed, so his character's not exactly super happy. Favorite post-apocalyptic movies. I mean, it kind of depends what type of post-apocalyptic film. You can do the zombie post-apocalypse, the nuclear war, the vampire. It kind of depends. They're not really my general style. And I'll probably do a more involved list at some other point in time, like I've been trying to do. I'd probably say that Stakeland is a good one. I'd say that Zombieland's a good one. I don't really know. They're just not what I typically watch. Most overrated actor and actress. Well, it kind of depends. For right now, as of this point in timeline, whatever, most overrated actress I'd say might be Jennifer Lawrence, and most overrated actor I might say, I don't even know. By this point, I haven't been paying attention to a lot of recent releases, so I'm not overly sure for actor. I don't know. Do I like Spielberg? Okay, this one's kind of funny because I did an entire video on monster kids and horror magazines once upon a time, and Spielberg had to be on that list. I have to give him a lot of props. On the one hand, he's kind of a studio darling. He's really good at making a lot of money. On the other hand, he makes films that are based off of everything that I like anyway. And he's done enough films that are big favorites of mine, or big part of my childhood, or whatever, that I can't not like him. I mean, he's got Jaws, he's got Indiana Jones, he's got Close Encounters, and all this stuff. So he's definitely kind of a winner. He's really good at making movies that sell and everybody likes. So props to him. Even if I'm generally not one for the popular vote, he does do good movies. So Plus, he touches back to his roots with stuff like Super 8, so props. I don't know, he's kind of a cool guy. Favorite comedy actor? I don't really know, because it kind of depends for what kind of comedy, because I'd say Jim Carrey, who I grew up with, or Mike Myers, who I grew up with. It kind of depends. I've always liked both of them, always thought they were funny. Then again, that comes from watching Ace Ventura and Austin Powers when I was like 6 or 7, so. Most hated movie. Okay, there's a lot of movies I hate with a fiery passion, most of which I covered on my Unpopular Opinions video a couple of years ago, but there's not a lot of movies that I've gotten to the end of them, and all I can think is I really regret doing this to myself. I'd say The Eyes Wide Shut was one of those. There's some movies that I were like, well, now I've seen it and I never need to see it again, such as 2001 Space Odyssey and Lawrence of Arabia, but as far as like really genuinely hating a film where I was pissed off at the end of it, maybe I Spit on Your Grave, because I had never been more uncomfortable while watching a movie. Then the last one on here is the movie villain that I thought to be the scariest. I'd probably say Freddy in the first Nightmare on Elm Street adaptation, before they decided to give him a lot of snappy dialogue to make him more comedic. Or even for that matter, Michael Myers in the first one, where he's the Shape and there's no clear motivation other than he's just killing teenagers. That doesn't seem to be an internalized motivation, and there's no stopping him. Or Jason for that matter, you know, all the big bad guys of classic slasher genre. I don't really know. It kind of depends on the film, and it depends what kind of terrifying you want. Because you can have terrifying, like Rosalind Pike's character in Gone Girl. You can have terrifying, like Kevin Spacey's character in Seven. It just sort of depends what kind of terrifying you like. I don't know. I don't have a particular kind of terrifying, since I don't find it terrifying. I don't know. So this is kind of a scatterbrained list of questions that I was asked. I hope that this entertains people at least somewhat. Hopefully I'll be back with proper movie suggestion lists sooner rather than later. Till next time, Darklings.